Hi, and welcome to the Window Film Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Vinnie Driscoll, and I'm excited to be joined today by Fernando Sainz of Sainz Designs to discuss everything from how he got into the window film industry to his performance at WFCT, which is the International Window Film Conference in Tintoff. Fernando, welcome to the show.
Yes. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm doing great. So before we get started, can you just give me a little bit of background about how you got into this industry, how long you've been in it, where you're located?
Okay, I started at young age of 14 years old. I was kind of helping my one of my cousins. Like he picked me up at home and washing his car and stuff. And one day he said, "Oh, let's go to the outer store and get some window film." And I said, "Oh, window film? Okay, I'm up to anything, you know." And I started helping him and doing window film, washing cars, and all that. And then I came home and I said, "Oh, I need these tools. I need a X-Acto knife. I need a ruler. I need these." And I went with my mom to the supply store and we get some things. And before was kind of tough because everybody was reserved. You don't even know where to buy film. You don't even know where to get the
Mhm.
tools right. And we was using whatever we can have on hand, using that little box that comes in 20 inches by 10 feet, and then you do one side and you get three boxes and you do the entire car, like divided in pieces in the back. And yeah, it's been 33 years already since I started. Like, no consistently, but I know I started at 14 and then I was doing some extra on the side, but keep the window tint. Like, okay, I know how to do it, I do it.
So you started in Puerto Rico when you were 14 years old.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in Staten Island?
In Staten Island, I came in to the States in 2012. So it would be 14 years already being on the Staten Island, straight from Puerto Rico here. I started working with a guy in the other side of the island. Now that I know you from Jersey, I was in the south shore of the island working for a
Mhm.
company, and then I
Okay.
decided to move on. Didn't work out. I decided to move on, and I'm here in Port Richmond in 11 years already.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with Staten Island. You're on the north side up
Yeah.
in Port Richmond. So tell me about those earlier years when you were in Puerto Rico, you were 14 years old, you're learning about window film. When you started doing it, were you like, I like this. This is something that I can turn into a career, or were you just doing it because, it was something to do?
No, I was always very handy with things. Like I like to fix things. I like to whatever you screwdriver, whatever you put in my hand, I would figure it out how to deal with it. And I remember going to summer camps and doing like all this stuff with the wooden parts and glue it together and you make a house and all of that. I remember with my one of my best friend, we used to do pinball machines out of
Oh,
wood
really? Uh-huh.
with a Coca-Cola cup, and we used to play with that, and we actually charged 5 cents for kids to play with the marbles and the pinballs.
Oh,
But so we
wow.
was always handy and trying to do things. I didn't know I would turn it into a career, right? But I'm pretty passionate for everything that I know or everything that I do. I would want to do it right, and if it doesn't work, it's not for me. I work it
So,
out hard until I know, okay, this is not for me, or this is something I can turn
right.
in a good thing.
So it sounds like you're a handy person. You figure things out. Give If you have the right tools, you're going to be able to kind of figure things out.
Yes.
Um, so you had mentioned in an article that we had published, I believe it was last year on Window Film Magazine, that there was a lot more opportunity in the United States, or I shouldn't say in the United States, in a like New York than there was in Puerto Rico in terms of the business. So can you tell me a little bit about what's the difference in terms of working in New York compared to in Puerto Rico? It sounds like you can make a lot more money where you're located currently.
Yes, because you know how it's the States, you know how it's New York. Whoever make it in New York can make it anywhere.
Right.
So that is a Frank Sinatra right song. And it's the money over here flows like quickly. People don't. It's not attached to money. People is just more like, okay, I can spend $5 now. I can 10 later, and there really not many people are scared to spend money.
Hmm.
so it's much easier. In Puerto Rico, it's more like yeah, it's more of a labor in between. It's more labor than actual profit
Right.
because it's so much that you can charge over there now because the internet. When I came over here in 2012, it was internet, but it was not crazy in Facebook, Instagram, and all that. So now that people went out, actually, my friends from PR, they come to United States and compete and see things. Now they are getting, growing and growing more. Like the way it's right here, but always you're gonna have that difference between. They will say always in the States you make more money than Puerto
Right.
Rico. That it could be a myth, but like I said, over here people just spend money like crazy. They just
Right.
pretty much don't care.
Right. Now you're in a pretty unique situation in being in New York City because I lived there. I worked there for a few years. I know what the boroughs are like. Now, um, not many people have cars in New York City except in Staten Island. Now, can you tell me a little bit about like I think I read something crazy where like 85% of the people in Staten Island have automobiles, whereas the rest of the four boroughs in New York, like most people don't have a car because it's just not
Yeah.
economical to have a car because you can
Hmm.
get around with mass transit. It costs a lot to park a car. So tell me about how unique Staten Island is to what you do.
Well, it is unique for what you said already. It's most people over here just one train going from the South Shore to the North Shore. So most people gotta have a car. You gotta have a like
Hmm.
they how they call it the commute car. They have a commute car and they have
Right.
a weekend car. And most cars over here are leases. So it's just
Hmm.
2 or 3 years. The car goes back, and you get the
Hmm.
same customer revolving. For 11 years already, it's been a customer that changed cars every two
Hmm.
years. So I already did six,
Right.
7 cars for that customer. The same customer coming, and then they call other people and word of mouth is good thing in Staten Island because it's small.
Hmm.
And if you're good in what you're doing and you brand yourself the way we do, you get a lot of business. It's up and down, but when you get the business, you get to be stable and steady. That the people that comes over here is the people that you want in the shop.
Right.
Because not every
Right.
customer can be my customer, and I cannot serve everybody. But the people that is coming right now is because of that. They have a lot of cars because they cannot move around without a car.
Hmm.
They're returning customer. The same people over here is word of mouth is good thing in Staten Island also.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of repeat business, which is great. I think I read somewhere that you have like an immaculate record in terms of reviews. It's 5 out of 5 people, and you're not even encouraging your customers to write reviews. They're doing it because they're so satisfied, and that's awesome. I could tell by the amount of comments we're getting that you're a very popular guy here. So uh, here's just a few of the comments. We got Dustin saying, "What's up, everyone?" Cassius,
I don't
let's
see the
go.
comments. Where gotta hit something to see the comments, or you see it and you tell me?
I'm seeing them and I'm showing them. So
Ah,
Cash
okay.
says, "Let's go, Iron Man." Max Pro says, "Let's go, Fernando." Marion says, "Iron Man." Whoop. Um, and Cash
Now
says,
I
"The
gotta
biggest."
drink. Now I gotta drink water.
Cash says the biggest small person I know. So yeah, we have a lot of great comments. Keep them coming. Again, we're talking to Fernando Sainz of Sainz Designs in Staten Island. Now, you just got back from the International Window Film Conference in Tintoff in Reno. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
It's always gonna be a great experience. Doesn't matter how it goes, because that's like the Super Bowl of our industry, right? So
Hmm.
you got a bunch of other competitions, but nothing that strict with rules that you have to
Hmm.
follow up to the dot. Because if not, you can get DQ or or
Right,
do
right.
not finish or whatever. But it doesn't matter how the outcome is. It's always a good experience.
Hmm.
Networking, showcasing people that I belong there, and it's really I come back really pumped,
Hmm.
with a lot of other
Right.
ideas and tools and new friends. Everything is great,
Right.
about WSCT.
So which one did you compete in? Did you do
I
automotive
did,
this year?
yeah, I did automotive window tint and PPF because
Hmm.
unfortunately Sarah only let two divisions to compete in because
Okay.
time is time wise. But yeah, I did PPF and auto.
Hmm. And how did you do?
Well, in PPF, it went south because I had a mistake on my hood. It was really a good hood to pass through the finals, but I had a mistake and I went to my shop mine instead of a competition mine, and I started
Hmm.
fixing things that I should leave on the hood.
Oh, I
So
see.
as soon as I start fixing, everything went south, and having 15 minutes left, I decided to pull the hood out
Yeah.
and be Superman and put a new hood in. I know I'm not gonna have the time just to show off because I don't gonna pass through or whatever I
Right.
had, and I end up looking at the clock, 5 minutes left, and I decide, okay, I will clean my stage and leave everything clean. I didn't finish. I remove everything, clean the car, and leave it do not finish.
Okay.
And so I jump in my mistake was jumping onto my shop mindset
Okay.
instead of being in the competition side,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
try to fix things that I should leave it and move on.
Right. Right. So, but you were able to you finished in the top 10 for the automotive,
For
correct?
auto, yeah, in auto it was a different story. I did pretty good. I was in my competition mode. I practiced for it and I passed through the 10. And I think I did it pretty good in the 10 also. It
Hmm.
just didn't make the cut for the podium, but I was in the top 10.
Right.
I'm very happy for Gerardo. He's really good in story.
Yeah, Gerardo finished with the gold. So yeah, shout out to Gerardo. Shout out to everyone
Yeah,
who competed.
yeah, to
Everyone
make the
did a
10.
great job. I saw your name in the top 10 and I was like, "Oh, this is great because I get to talk to you this week. We can talk to you about."
Being in the
So,
10 is just a different story. I started competing in 2023. I only beat three WSCT down, and every time I win, I grow up a little bit. I made this
yeah,
mistake. I'm gonna fix that. And I made this mistake. Now I'm in the 10. So
right.
it's pretty
As
good
long as you're
achievement.
able Yeah, as long as you're able to continue to learn and grow and figure things out. I mean, the competition is like you said. There's a lot of intensity. There's a lot of pressure.
Hmm.
It's you can make mistakes and you can learn from those mistakes. And I think that a lot of people
Yeah.
do that. That there's a lot of people that come. They finish in the top 10. They finish in the top three, and then we've had people that have climbed that ladder and gotten to actually
Hmm.
to medal. Now, how do you prepare for a competition like
Well,
WFCT?
I just like I said, it's like a Super Bowl. So you have to prepare mentally and physically. I didn't did exercise and push-ups, but physically, I mean, I made the stage. I get a few cars, to practice on. What do I have to bring inside the ring so I don't have extra stuff in my hands? I just brought inside whatever I need.
Right.
So I did couple rounds. I put myself uncomfortable in some situations. Oh, I forgot this. So now I'm DQ. I
Yeah.
don't have my
Yeah.
light. So now I don't have a light. So I gotta work without the light.
Mm.
And I don't have I left my squeegee. So I gotta use the squeegee I have in my pocket because
Right.
that's the way I forgot. So that's the way I prepare myself, putting myself uncomfortable in situations that I have to deal with whatever I bring to the ring and try
Right.
to make it happen. It doesn't matter, how it comes out
Right.
because
So
you're
were you
the time also is make a play.
right. 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 So were you able to relax, or were you kind of anxious the whole time? I know I had read a blog by Sean G, and he talked about being nervous, think because he competed in two competitions and he was very like, restless, he couldn't sleep at night. Like how did you approach, you know, sleeping and were you able to relax or were you kind of thinking about the competition?
Well, to be honest, I don't sleep a lot. So
Hmm.
3 hours or 4 hours for me is a lot to sleep. And I was nervous when I get into that stage. The first time I feel like when they call in, I was like numb walking.
Right.
I get to the stage, but as soon as I get to the table, I knew what I had to do.
Okay.
I was nervous, but I know what I had to do. I know where I put my bucket, where I put my tools, where I put my film, the heat gun.
Right.
So as soon as I was numb, but as soon as I get there, I set up, I said, okay, this is it. You have to do this in 25 minutes. You have to do it right. And at the beginning, I was fine. And then in the back window, it was really uncomfortable doing the way I do it because I do
Hmm.
bottom load even with the seals on. And I had to start talking to myself, okay, you got this, you
Right.
got this. And I didn't want to move the film so quickly because you can, make a mark
Sure.
or something. So I start playing with it until I get it done, and everything went out the way I practice it.
Okay. Now, what about everyone watching you? Does that factor in? Are you nervous with people watching? The clock is ticking. How do you approach that? How do you tune all that out?
It's for me it's 50-50. So I get nervous, but at the same time I can block whatever is
Mhm.
happening outside, but I can still hear and everything what happens outside. So I
Yeah.
can't even in that competition you cannot talk outside the fence.
Right.
But if you allow, let's say you allowed to, I can have a conversation with you, knowing the time that I have on the back, and do the work at the same time without seeing, without looking at you. So I have that as I can call a skill. So I can hear something commenting and I can reply if I can,
Right.
because I'm always like alert, but at the same time blocking what is happening. I like to see the clock because I know if I have to skip steps to get the job done, or I can keep going the way it's supposed to be.
Sure.
That's why I'm look back to, okay, I got 10 minutes, I got 5 minutes, or I got 15. So I know if I'm gonna, instead of using two squeegee, I use one, and I the same process but just with one. I like to watch the clock, and it really I like to perform, and
Yep.
it doesn't matter the outcome. I like to perform. I like the
Awesome.
people
Again,
watching me.
yeah. Again, we're talking to Fernando Sainz of Science Designs in Staten Island. He was just at WFC competing. We also have a few more comments. Marion says Fernan is always preparing and sharing tips and tricks. That's true.
Yeah,
You've got a great social media account. You're always on there. You're always sharing information. Um, and Cash says you have to have tunnel vision. When you're at these
yeah.
events, you just kind of focus on what you're doing. That's I think that's key. You try to block it. A lot of installers. They kind of work independently. They work alone. They're used to not being around. People watching and having that pressure. So I think when you get into the competition, it's you're on stage and people are watching and people are kind of critiquing, and that's when things can go wrong. So let me ask, what was the biggest challenge for you at WFCT? It could be anything.
Um, I cannot say challenge. I gotta think hard because everything is a challenge, and if you
Mhm.
don't get nervous, it's just, I feel like some installers, I don't get nervous. And I think that you have to be nervous when you get to a stage,
Mhm.
like any other artist or player, right? But challenge, I don't know. Challenge could be, for me, could be a timing, because they start late in the afternoon, and
Yeah.
then I have so much downtime that I'm anxious all the time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
in other competitions that you can do three, four, five different competitions, I'm back to
Yes.
back and I'm moving. So I like to be hot instead of
Yeah.
being laying down and watching. I don't like to watch any other installer. I just watch for a few minutes and I catch whatever I have to catch and move on.
Yeah.
So I have to be moving. So I rather be like busy than having lay down. I think that's a challenge for me because I don't like to be laid back and then, oh, your competition is 5:30 and then you have to wait, and look at the clock, 3:30, four
Right.
thirty.
That's
I
it.
don't I didn't like.
That's an excellent point, and Sean G brought that up in his blog, and he said that you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, and it still feels like it's a week away. It's like you
Mm-hmm.
still have to kill 8, 10 hours
Yes.
until your competition. Whereas, like, I mean, obviously, you'd love to get up in the morning and just go right to it without having to
Yeah.
worry about all this time thinking about it. How am I going to approach this? So, yes, I mean, that's a great point. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. When they have the whole
Mm-hmm.
day, what are you going to do? How are you going to fill that time? And the minutes feel like hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good point. Um,
Especially for the people that have already like schedule and the day program like us. We wake up 6 a.m. in the morning. We're ready by 7. We leave by 8. So if you have your days like that, being in a place like I have to sit down. Let me see what I'm gonna
right.
do. should I go there and enjoy the trip, and then if something happened, I'm not back in time. It's
Right.
just a lot of things.
And you mentioned earlier, like it's the Super Bowl of the events. Now, when I think about Super Bowl Sunday, and it's the big game, and I think about the players, they have to wait that whole day, until the game
Hmm.
starts, and it's like they're thinking about it, and they're anxious. They just want to get to it, and I think that's kind of a good parallel to competing in the WFCT because a lot of these events don't
Yes.
start until in the afternoon, late in the afternoon.
Hmm.
So again, we're talking to Fernando Sainz of Sainz Designs. Now, let me ask you about your operation. It's just you and your wife, is that correct?
Yeah, it's just me and my wife. A lot of people know my wife because she run the shop and the books and everything. But she adopt the name of the coach. So
uh, you good there?
so yeah, I get it. I'm a crier, so
Yeah,
it's nothing I can do, right?
yeah.
But she's everything to me. So sorry.
No, no. I applaud you. I know it's a challenge when you have such a small operation and you lean so heavily on someone. So tell me a little bit about Tani.
So I've been with her 25 years married. We don't have any kids because we didn't plan to have a kid. We didn't like we jump into work and that's it.
Right.
And we didn't want to neither. So I roll with it. I don't mind. And yeah, she adopted the name of the coach because in the competition that she can talk to me. Actually, she is a coach.
Mm.
You
So,
missing this, missing that. This time you got this time to do the things. So that's why she adopted the name of the coach. In last year in WFR reunion, I brought her to the team, and we actually won first place.
oh, that's great.
With
So,
her on the team, like a spotter, she was a cleaner and spotter, and
does
we made it
Tani
to
do?
the first.
Does she do window film as well? Does is
No,
she,
that
but
that
she,
was that was the key because she don't do window film. She know how to get it done, but she don't know
right?
how to do it.
I see. Okay.
So over here, like in my shop, she's the judge. I just pretty much I tell everybody over there, I just throw my best window, and
Hmm.
hopefully she don't call me back to fix it.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that's the key here. So I want to throw my best window, and I check it and I fix whatever I have to fix, but I don't want it to call me back. When I'm
Right.
sitting back in the office, Fernando, you have the finger over here. Fernando, you have a little speck over here. You have to. So I don't want that. So when we brought it to the team, it was because of that. She knows how to get it done. She cleans the environment. She checked the windows. So she was a spotter. We got
Right.
this time to do this. So that was my friend Domi. Domi is struggling with the back window. Can we help him or we let him go? Oh, what's that? And then that's when I get my skill. Like I know what's happening without leaving what I'm doing.
Right.
So it was a good
Yeah.
add-on to the team. And like I said, she's everything to me. She helped me over here. And wherever I go, she goes. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Wherever I decide to go, she goes. And we made decision as one.
So it sounds like you have an amazing relationship with your wife, who's
Yes.
also your coworker, co-owner. And that's awesome. It sounds like that you guys have the system down. You've been in business for over a decade. You guys are doing great. And that kind of sums up the question I was going to ask. How do you have such a successful business with such a small operation? And you answered it perfectly. You have a great relationship with your wife, and it sounds like I can call her coach going forward because everyone else is
Yeah.
is calling her coach in the comments. But yeah, that's amazing. I think that a lot of people who are couples and they work together, sometimes the relationship is not as great. There's stress, but it sounds like you guys have a wonderful working relationship.
Yeah. It's good.
So let me ask you. I have one more question for you, Fernando. So you're in your mid 40s. You've said that you're hungrier than ever. What's next for Signs Designs and for you personally?
It would be more for me personally than selling designs because I don't. I like to have a small shop and dedicated, and not that I don't think that I can grow it bigger. It's just I like to have like kind of boutique shop that is dedicated to customers, like us
Hmm.
giving the service. So it's more personalized shop than
Right.
than having a big shop and be making big profits, having a lot of employees. It's more for me. I would like to be doing mentorship, support for dealers,
Right.
training maybe possibly, showing other peoples and the young generation, some
Sure.
good skills, good habits, um, from the ground up. The way you look, the way you dress, how you
Sure.
use your tools. It's a lot of things involved. It's not just being great at window film.
So you want to be a
You need to
mentor, you want to be a
have,
trainer. That sounds like
yeah.
that's a great, especially with the experience you have, it's a great future for somebody who's been installing for as long as you have. I think a lot of people go on to do that, which is very, it's awesome for the future generations. If you're going to
Yeah,
help.
because you have a lot of training, and a lot of people is doing training, but it's just doing training for profit.
Right.
It's nothing else. It doesn't matter the way you put it on. They are doing training just for profit. They aren't doing
Right.
training just for. It's no mentorship, no ongoing situation. It's just that's a training and move on. I make $1,800 in one student in 2 days and see you later.
Yeah.
It's supposed to not be like that because later on you have people or installers trying to charge customers and they just have 3 day training because
Mm,
you tell them that you make a lot of money. So that's when mentorship comes in, that when support coming in, and that's I think that's the key.
right. Well, Fernando, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a great
Thank you.
conversation. You obviously have a lot of people who follow you and are admirers of your work. Do you have any final thoughts before we leave this podcast?
Um, Thank you for having me, and thank you
Sure.
all the people that is connected over here. I love them all, and thank for the support.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. I've been following you on social media. I watch the stuff that you do. You're obviously well liked, and I love that you've got the industry in mind, and that you're looking to kind of further it with training. And I mean that's great. When I hear that, and I hear lifelong passion for this industry, there's so many people that have it just like you, and that just it speaks volumes about this industry and the people that are in it. But again, thank you so much for your time today,
Thank you.
and good luck, going forward to everything that you do. All right,
Thank you very
for
much.
Fernando, I'm Vinny. We'll see you next time on the Window Film Magazine podcast. Take care, everyone.
Take care.